Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Destiny's Desires, where we come together to grow, motivate, and inspire the best versions of ourselves. I am Destiny, of course, and if you are new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you are back, what's up, fam? As you guys can tell by today's title, I'm going to be doing a book review on a book that I read for the month of January. One of my personal goals that I have for this year of 2019 is to read one book a month, just to expand my mind, to educate myself in different ways. And today I am here to introduce the first book I read this month, which is the New York Times bestseller, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. What men really think about love, relationships, intimacy, and commitment. And the book is by Steve Harvey. It was a great read, definitely more than what I expected. For those of you who do not know, he actually created a movie on this book. The movie was really good. The movie came out about a couple years ago, and I seen the movie. I enjoyed the movie, and typically when you read a book that has a movie attached to it, the book is always better, right? It's in more depth, it's longer, it goes into more details about certain things, and that's exactly what this book did. And so I'm going to give you guys a quick initial thoughts of the book, which is pretty much in time with what I just said. It went a lot deeper than some of the points that they made in the movie, so I enjoyed that. And the book was just very good. It was very informative about the way that men think, because it's so different from the way that we as women think. And disclaimer, this is not saying that all women think like this or that all men are like this. I am not an expert. I'm not a psychologist. None of that. But I am a woman, and I know how I feel. And so this book revealed a lot of things to me within myself. It was a really good read, so I encourage you guys to read it. In the description box below, I'm going to have a link to this book on Amazon. I believe it should be no more than $15. I'm not sure. I'm going to put a new version, the cheapest new version I could find on Amazon, in the description box below. I encourage ladies and men to get this book and read it. Women, it will let you know the mindset of men and how they think. And fellas, it will give you kind of a inward approach to see how you guys are and why you sometimes do the things you do. So I thought it was really good. So what I'm going to do is just bring up some of the main topics in the book, discuss them a little bit, let you know what I've learned or taken away from them, and just kind of introducing some new ideas. I think this was a great start as we enter the month of February, where I kind of give you guys tidbits if you've seen my videos before, which was the mukbang video where I go into detail a little bit more about what's to come. I also talked about it a little bit on my Get Ready With Me Everyday Glam video. So if you have not seen those two videos, go ahead and check those out. But I talked about upcoming things for this new February content, and it's about love in different aspects: self-love, loving others, singleness, relationships, loving God, loving pretty much everything and anything about yourself. And so I think it's going to be a good month, and this was a great start to prep myself for the things to come. And so there's a couple things I want to touch on in here. So each in the book there are 4 different topics that he talks about, and in those they have a certain different number of chapters. So the very first one is the mindset of a man. And so in chapter 1 he talks about what drives a man, and I thought it was super interesting because men and women are very different, and as I get older I learn that, and I learned that it's okay to be different. It's actually created to be different so that we can complement one another, and so we need those differences. And so it says what drives a man, and so it was very interesting to me to see the 3 things that he said drives a man. Is the first thing is 1, who he is, number 2 is what he does, and number 3 is what he makes. And so I thought that was super interesting, because when you learn about dating, or you have experiences with dating, or we as women sometimes think, not all women, but most women think, they don't mind if their man is not exactly where he wants to be in life. They don't care if he's not exactly who he wants to be. The women, the nurturing side of us as women, we want to help him become that, right? We want to support him, motivate him, push him to be this best version of himself, or this goal that he has of himself. And that's who we are as women. And it was so cool to see that men are opposite. They don't want to do that. They want to know who they are, know what they make, and know what they're doing before you, because they want to come and provide for you and protect you. They don't want you to help build them up necessarily. They don't want you to tear them down. They want your support, but they don't want to necessarily become the man that they aspire to be with the help of a woman. They want to do that by themselves, and I encourage it. I encourage self growth, but it was interesting to see because it's so opposing and opposite of what we as women were created to do. We nurture things, we make things better, right? And the man, he wants to do those things on his own, and so it was cool to see that how Steve made the correlation that until a man knows who he is, what he's going to do, his job, who he is, the man that he stands for, and what he makes, that was pretty much self-explanatory. He cannot go to the next step within his relationship. So if you guys are single, he cannot commit until he knows those 3 things. If you guys are committed, he's not ready for marriage until he knows those 3 things. If you guys are married, he's not ready for children until he knows those 3 things, because men like to provide, they like to protect, and when they're not able to do that, they don't see how you move forward. Until they get themselves together, they don't see how we move forward as a unit. And so I thought that was very interesting to see. That was something new that I learned. Let's see. The mindset of the man. Chapter 3, the 3 things every man needs: support, loyalty, and the cookie. And so that's very self-explanatory, but I thought it was super interesting because as a woman, those 3 things are not necessarily things that we like as women, right? So a man wants support, loyalty, and the cookie. And I feel like as women, we love communication, affection, and security. And so it was cool to see what men aspire to have, what makes a man happy, and what he needs from his spouse, right? And we often think that people need what we need. And so a lot of times you hear the saying to treat people how you want to be treated. But in reality, you have to treat people on how they want to be treated, because they may not care about if you want this, they may not want that. And so if you're constantly giving them that and that's not important to them, you won't make any leadway with them. And so I thought it was super cool to see that men want support and whatever it is that they're doing. They want a woman who will have their back, who will be there to help them, will be there to assist them when they ask. Loyalty, that speaks pretty much. She wants someone who has his back and not someone that keeps him down or holds him down. I don't like to say that, I'm going to hold you down. No, don't hold me down, lift me up. But saying someone to have his back. Men like loyalty. And lastly, the cookie, and that's pretty much self-explanatory. And I thought it was interesting because we as women, we like affection more than the cookie, or in terms sex. Women, we want more of affection, hand-holding, kissing, cuddling, things of that nature. Affection to us doesn't necessarily mean sex. We can have affection without sex. But a man needs sex. And it was interesting to see the similarities and the differences. Communication is another thing that we as women strive for. And last but not least, security. A man who is able to protect and provide for us. Because if your man is not secure, it's very hard to be comfortable in that situation. And so I thought those were interesting points and how they differed from what women need and what men need. And it was very interesting to see those differences. And I learned a lot within that chapter. And so the second part of the book, it talks about why do men do what they do. Why men do what they do. In number 5, the chapter says, first things first, he wants to sleep with you. And I thought that was super interesting because we as women, we kind of know that. But at some point, if a guy says the right things, does the right things, you maybe think, he might just be nice. And maybe he just really wants to get to know me. I mean, he's really proactive. He asked me about work, my dreams, my goals. He's offered to help those things. Maybe he's just a nice guy. And he just wants to be my friend, or maybe he just really wants to get to know me. And I don't think that this statement means that he doesn't want those things. But first things first, when a guy approaches you, know that he wants to sleep with you. Know that is why he is there. Now, whether he gets to meet you and sees your value and decides, okay, maybe that's not what I'm going to get up front, so let me dig a little deeper and find out who this woman is, then that's the case. But knowing when a man approaches you, that is what he wants. And so I thought that was interesting because we as women, we know that, but sometimes we'll be like, oh, he's such a nice guy. I don't think sex is even on his mind. He's never said anything about it or never, made any moves. So maybe that's not what he wants. No, he does. He's just playing his hand a little differently, right? So I thought that was very interesting to read. Chapter 6, Sport, Fish, or Keeper, How Men Distinguish Between the Marrying Type and Playthings. I thought that was a super important chapter because we are in a society today where dating is very weird, to say the least. And it was a good intake to decide whether you are okay with being a sport fish or if you want to be a keeper. Because not everybody wants to get married. Not everyone aspires to be in a monogamous relationship. So you have to know what you want. The issue is if you want to be a keeper and you allow yourself to deal with people who treat you like a sports fish, that's the issue. If you want to be a sports fish, quote unquote, and you want to be promiscuous and you want to live a certain lifestyle where you do what you want and you don't aspire to, be a one-woman man, or, because it's your life, you do what you want, that's fine. But if you aspire to be married, if you aspire to be with one man, if you aspire monogamy, then you shouldn't, or not saying shouldn't, it's not wise to live a life of being promiscuous. It's not wise. And when I say wise, that doesn't mean right or wrong. If you have wisdom and if you gain it, you know what I mean by that. And so it was very interesting to see how men distinguish between the two. And this isn't about being what a man wants you to be. That's totally not the point. The point is knowing what you want, knowing who you are, and moving accordingly to that. Because as I go into some of these other points, you'll see why it's important to know where you stand and what you want. Know what you want before you date. Date intentionally. Even if your intentions are to not have anything. Date with intention. And so the third part is the playbook, how to win the game. And so this is where he kind of switches up on the book, lets us know some of these tricks that men do and how we can combat them in a positive, healthy way. And so one thing, chapter 9, it says men have standards. Men respect standards. Get some. And that was a great chapter because we live in a society today where there's a lot of strong women and passive men. And that's fine if that is who you are and that is who you, because if you're a passive man, you might want a little stronger woman. If you're a strong woman, you want more of a passive man. Coming from a woman who's more on the passive side or more who wants a man to lead, we get taught that if you have too much standards, you're too much, you're doing too much, you ask too much, you're too much, that no man's going to deal with that, no man's going to, you hear all these things. Society imprints into us. It says, if you have standards, no man's going to deal with that. And that's a complete lie. Men respect it. And what you have to understand is respect doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to date you. Because I've personally experienced where guys get to know me, realize that there's a certain level of standard that I expect from them, and they feel like, oh, I can't do that. And they go away. But you ask anyone in the future about me, and there'll be a respectful answer attached to my name, right? And so you have to learn that once you find your value and you hold yourself to a certain standard, not every guy's going to be able to reach it. Not every guy's going to want to reach it. It's going to be a select few who will glow and grow to get to that point that you're at. And so you have to find the position of where you're at and you stand there. There'll be some men that can't even reach you. There'll be some men that try to bring you down because they don't think that you deserve all the stuff that you're asking for. They just can't give you everything that you're asking for. And then there'll be those select few men who will rise to the occasion to meet you where you're at. And so, Steve said it best, men respect standards. Get some. Even if he's not in that place right then and there where he may not want a relationship, he may not see you as a future woman in his life, he may not see any of that. If you hold yourself in a respectable manner, he'll have nothing left to do but respect you. Because when you demand respect, that's the only option. You can only respect me or you can go. Typically, they respect you. Some still go. But most will say, I'm actually going to have to try for her. And one thing you need to learn about men is men love the chase. Men are, they love the chase. They love to feel like a woman was hard to get and they got her. It's part of their ego. A man wants you to stroke his ego. He wants to feel like, wow, you didn't give me the time of day when I met you, and now look where we're at. They like that. So women, stop being so easy to catch. We're the prize. And that's, this book pointed out that so much to me, that we as women are the prize. We are the catch. We are the good thing. And somewhere in society has switched around to where the man was the good thing, and now we have women chasing men. That's nuts. Oh, excuse me, I like a hiccup. But that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. We are the prize. We are the catch. We are the good thing. So be that. Be that. Because the things that you possess, a man could never have. Could never do. You are the better part of him. So represent that. And so I thought that chapter was amazing. And one thing I learned throughout reading this book is that pretty much, not always, the things that men do are for women. The things that men do are for us. And women, I want you guys to and ladies and whoever is watching, because I don't know the age group that's watching, but women, understand that men do everything they do for us. You know, everything they do they do for us, because a man aspires to have a woman in his life. And as I get older, I start to believe that in some ways, not always, because I think everyone has a desire for a spouse, or most people has a desire for a spouse at any capacity, whether it's just dating, marriage, whatever your desires are. But a man, he goes and does what? He gets a good job that pays good money, and he wants this money because he knows that this amount of money will attract women. It will bring women into him, in his presence. And with this money, he goes buy a nice car, because he knows that if he has an average car, it's not looking nice, it may steer some women away, so he gets a nice car because he knows that it will attract women. He goes and gets his hair cut, gets some cologne, gets a nice outfit. Not for his friends. Not typically just because he likes to look good himself. But he knows when he looks a certain way, more women are attracted to him, right? They do these things for us. To impress us. To seem cool. They do this to impress their guy friends. Like, look at all these girls I got. Right? And then now their friends are going to get those new shoes and those new cologne and that new outfit. For women. For us. They're doing it for us. And so as women, we have to realize the power that we have. Because we have so much. So I encourage you guys to think about that. The things that men do are for us. You know, guys don't go get his hair cut for his homeboys. You know, he's not looking for that compliment from his homeboys. Oh, man, you look nice. No. That's not who he wants to compliment it. It's that girl he has his eye on. That girl that he's entertaining. That girl. He's doing it for us. And so we as women have to realize our power. And we don't have to use it in a manipulative way. Because we as women, we can do that. We can. And I don't encourage that. But we have to use our power because it was given to us for a reason. And we have to assess men in a healthy way. And so chapter 10, the 5 questions every woman should ask before she gets into deep. That was a huge chapter for me because sometimes when we date, we wait till after we're invested to get to know the person. After we've spent time with them, after we've invested energy and money, after we've invested our feelings, after, then we want to say, well, let me get to know you. That's not wise to do that. Get to know him before you invest in him, because what happens is when you're in love with someone that you do not know, it's very hard. It's possible. I want to give you guys encouragement. It's possible to get out of something when you're in love and it's not healthy. But it's harder. I'll be honest. It's harder to leave a man that you love, that you know is not good for you, versus leaving a man that you can tell is not good for you in the first week of dating. Obviously. So I encourage you guys to ask these questions before. Get to know a man before you fall in love with him. Because once you're in love, it's sticky. And it gets dragged out. And it's a lot to clean up after. It's a lot to clean up after you leave a man who's no good for you. And we'll actually talk about that in my upcoming February content. Why I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this. Like upcoming videos and stuff. But it's a lot to clean up after. You can do it. I encourage you. Yes, you can move on. It's just a lot to clean up after as you escort him out of your life. And so it's better to get to know him first before you fall in love. And we have some weird stigma in dating in this generation that, oh, we just cool and we just getting to know each other and don't ask anything about one another. How we getting to know each other? We're not. But we're living in a generation where that's it. Let's chill before we go on a date. I want to see if I like you. No, you take me on a date and that's where you see if you like me. Okay? But we live in a society that's not really what it is anymore. It's just all backwards. Everything's all backwards. But yeah, I encourage you guys, get to know the men before you invest yourself into it. Because if you don't, you'll end up resenting him, not liking him, not liking yourself, losing yourself. So ask these 5 questions. They're good too. I encourage you guys to get into this. And the very last section of the book is from his woman to his wife, winning his heart for a lifetime. And chapter 15 is managing the XFiles, how to keep your cool when his past arise. Excuse me. And that was a good chapter because every man is going to have a past when you meet him, just as you have a past. And at some point you may run into an ex because he may work with her. She may see that you guys are together now, upset about that, and now she wants to kind of try to get back with him, right? Some point or another, an ex will approach the relationship, and this is a great telling of what your man values you as and far of how he deals with her. Now, if he's saying, oh, that was my old girl, and we've been together, we was together for a while, so we still have a bond. Because if that bond is not broken, then you're going to bring her along on our journey. And I don't have time for that personally. That's personally not a thing that I'm going to deal with. So you have to think about that. How does he talk about her? Does he talk about her like a doll? Even if she was. You don't want a man that's going to disrespect another woman in your presence. He should not even feel comfortable disrespecting her in your presence. Because if he does, if he did it to her, he could do it to you. Right? Whether she did these things that he said she did, or whether he's exaggerating them and trying to make it seem like she wasn't no good woman and you so much better, that's not a compliment. Ladies, that's not a compliment. So see how he talks about his ex. Does he, you know, even if it was bad, he may say things of, you know, it just didn't work out. We grew apart. We were different people and we had different values. But if he said, oh, she was no good, she lied, she cheated, and airing all of their dirty laundry, that's not something you like. And I'm not saying that's necessarily something you have to leave him for, but address it to where he knows moving forth, do not disrespect another woman at any caliber in my presence. We don't do that. I never talk bad about any of my exes. Ever. Because at some point they had something good as to why I was with them, right? If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. But it's not letting me go on a bashing spree. Because you don't respect the person if you do that. So if he can't respect his ex, he probably won't be able to respect you. So listen to that. And when you meet this woman, if you ever come across this woman, you'll get to see their interaction. And then you'll have to interact with her. And I guarantee class and grace always wins the race. I didn't even mean for that to be rhymey. But class and grace always wins the race. You never let a woman see you sweat. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Because we as women, we can be very manipulative. And if we see that, if we can sniff out that a woman is insecure, she may know just the right thing to try to get back with your ex. I mean, you'll find out if he's a good man or not, if he entertains it or not, but you don't ever want a woman to think that she's got you sweating, right? You don't do that. So you be polite, you be kind. You answer her questions to the extent that you feel like you should. If it's not her business, you politely let her know. You know what I'm saying? You don't let her come in and walk all over your relationship when she wants to, talk to him when she wants to. Oh, well, we're still friends and we are. No, you're not. No. The only way you could be friends with an ex is if you guys have a child. Because at that point, they're not going to leave your life. So you guys need to have some sort of co-parenting friendship. But if we don't have no kids together and I'm with my new man, we don't need to talk. Because it's not wise. It leaves a door open for something bad to happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not about, oh, I have to disown them and be rude to them. We spend so much of our life together, I don't want to turn my back on them. It's not about that. It's about you're doing something new now. Starting something new with someone else. And if you leave that door open, you leave room for someone of your past to come back in. So you have to close that door. And they have to as well. And it's a very good learning moment because you can tell a lot about a man when you are in the same vicinity of an ex. Or how he speaks about an ex. Or how you can learn a lot. You just have to listen. You just have to listen. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is chapter 17. Your career, his ambitions, and how to make your dreams work together. That was a good chapter as well. Because in today's society, we don't really view relationships as partnerships. You know, I see a lot of people, and I'm not talking bad about them or anything. I'm just saying facts. Who dog their exes out when they're done. Dog them, embarrass them on social media. Something that everyone can see that is never going to be erased. there's a lack of respect for your spouse if you do that. Whether they're an ex or not, there's a lack of respect. And, you know, people, you know, and I know sometimes you're hurt and things happen. I get it. And that's why I'm not here to judge, because I've had my experiences as well. But when you do that, it kind of reflects on you, because when you think about it, your spouse is a reflection of you. They're a reflection of you. If you date a man who cheats and lies and is no good and everyone knows about it and you know about it, that reflects on you as a woman of, well, what is her self-worth and self-love? To be with the man that she knows is out here giving his most precious gift to her away to any and everybody who's willing to take it. What does it say about her that she's okay with that? And if she's not okay with it, what does it say about her that she still stays? It reflects you. Your spouse reflects you. So when you dog him out and all that stuff, I mean, it's a reflection of you and what you tolerated at a point in time. Just be conscious of that and think about it. You know, this isn't a thing of judgment. I'm not here to judge. That isn't my job. I'm just trying to enlighten you guys on some different things. Just to think about some different things. You don't necessarily have to agree with what I say. I'm here to get your minds wondering, to start thinking about some things. And so you want to figure out, how does your dreams, your career, and his ambition work together? Now, relationships should be a partnership. This should be your helpmate. You know, when you date a guy and he asks you, what are your dreams? What are your aspirations? What are you trying to do? His next question should follow up with, how can I help? How can I help with that? You want to go to school? How can I help with that? Do you want me to study with you, maybe? Is he in school? No. Is he really studying? No. But he's asking, how can I help? You know, you're stressed out at work. Things are not going good. The kids are, you know, driving us crazy. How can I help? Should we do an extra date night this week? Maybe should we implicate some more, you know, personal time? You guys know what I'm saying? That's what it should be, a helpmate. Someone that helps you. This is what you're trying to do. How can I help? How can I assist? Because as you grow and you become wise in relationships are really dying to oneself and coming alive and new and togetherness. So you sacrifice things. You figure out, how can I help you? Now don't go, disclaimer, and give a man everything you got and he's not even your boyfriend. Don't do that. Don't do that. But what I'm saying is, if you guys are on the same accord, you guys are in a committed relationship, you guys have established that there is monogamy and that there is a future, help build that future for you guys together. Help grow in that future together. Your spouse should teach you. You know, I see people often dog their spouses out. He's so dumb, he didn't know that. If you knew it, why didn't you teach him? He's a reflection of you. There's no reason why you have knowledge on a subject that he does not, and you are not helping him grow in that aspect of life. There's no reason for that. This is your man. This is your woman. Why are you laughing with the people around you guys instead of helping them?